Welcome in to episode 3 of the Maine Celtics podcast. Your co-hosts and your broadcast team for the Maine Celtics, Brendan Glasheen and Chris Whitney. Excited to talk to you midweek in the final week of November. Celtics have turned their season around, Chris. They started 0-2, and now they've won 4 straight. So we're recording before the Celtics Wednesday night game against Westchester. They're on the road again this weekend, visiting Raptors 905. And then we finally get some home cooking. The Celtics will be home for Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, the 6th, the 7th, and the 10th of December. And then they wrap with College Park. And then that's it. The showcase season is over, if you can believe that. The team's been on the road so often. But Chris, watching from afar, we didn't get to work together. You were out you were out sick those first couple games. But now, having watched the last 4 games, what do you think the key has been to the turnaround here?
You know, we touched about it on episode 1, the cohesion of the team. The team, whole new team coming together. You got Tony Snell, JD's back with the team, but it was, you only get that week together to start the season. They get that extra time. All of a sudden, here we go. Ball's rolling, JD's moving. You got the team chemistry built now where guys kind of know where other guys going to be. Defensively, they're talking, and it's paid off now with that 4-2 record, and they're right back in the mix of the Showcase Cup playoffs, getting into that top 8 and going and playing for a championship.
Right back in it. Those 4 wins. They get 2 really gutsy wins in Greensboro. We saw the debut of Neemias Queta in a Maine uniform. He has played very well for Boston with their concerns of their bigs. That's well documented for Boston Celtics fans that they've got some holes at the back end of that rotation as it pertains to center. So Queta making a presence felt with Maine in limited minutes in those 2 Greensboro games. Can't ignore what the Celtics are doing here on the 4-game win streak. Maine in the 4-game streak, number 1 in the G League in 3-point percentage. They take a lot of threes, and they're making them at a high rate in the win streak, 39%. 6th in scoring, 7th in rebounding during the streak. For the entirety of the season, to include the 2 losses, Celtics have risen to the number 1 G League team in offensive rating. They are 2nd in threes made per game, and they are 4th overall in percentage. But Chris, I think the big number, and Blaine Miller, the first-year coach, has talked about this. They're defending without fouling. They're only committing 17 fouls a game now. That's 2nd fewest in the league.
You just see the balance of the roster now coming in, and defensively they're getting after it to where they're not getting beat and having the big guys having to come over and play that help side and just leaving them out to dry and getting into the foul trouble. And it pays off at the end of the game when you got your studs and your stars that can be out on the court. Those last 2-3 minutes, like you touched on in Greensboro, those were games that came down the last, minute of each game. Having those guys on the floor, not having to worry about foul trouble and that kind of stuff, that helps in the back of the mind when you're playing a little D2 and you keep getting after it.
I feel like, just to highlight some individual players now too, Chris, I think Nathan Knight has played an integral part, and he's emulating exactly what you want for a guy that's played the majority of his pro career has been NBA minutes. He only had 1 G League game in the record books before this year. He's doing exactly what's asked. Now, he's not stuffing the stat sheet as a scorer. He's number 1 on the team in rebounding at just over 7.5 per game, 9 points a night. But he's been the anchor. He's been the glue guy to keep. It almost allows the perimeter guys to be a little bit more aggressive.
And you and I touched on that. He struggled a little bit out of the gate. And again, you just said, this is his first kind of real foray down into the G League, getting used to it. And people will tell you, the pace of the G League is the fastest pace in basketball on the planet. Yeah. So you get him, it's going to take him time to adapt a little bit too with new teammates. And you talk about the pace of play. And we touched on it at that time where after those first 2 weeks, you and I both agreed that he's the guy to watch come out of this next session of games because he's got the chip on the shoulder. He wants to get back. He's been there, but he's a leader, but he's that size guy. He's got that wingspan that where he can guard the 4, the 5, can play out on the 3, but he does, on this roster, having JD being able to put up the stats he's putting up right now is kind of even crazier than the stats they are on themselves, just given the fact of the roster and how they can spread it around, and the movement on that way. So it's been nice to see Nate step up, and they need that leader. It is a young team. Tony Snell's 31, oldest veteran on the team, hundreds of NBA games. But other than that, it's like he's playing with his kids. So, to have an NBA veteran like Nate to come in too and help leadership wise, it's sticking out and it's helped through this run.
Tony Snell through 6 games, 9 points, just over 9 points a game, shooting 46% from 3. There's a lot of individuals that we have to harp on. I think that I wanted to just shout out Nathan Knight because I think that the premise of defending without fouling. They're top 7 now in rebounding in the winning streak. Nathan Knight has played a big part in that. Maybe a guy that, again, doesn't jump off the stat sheet, but doing what he's asked. It's cliche, folks, but that's what you're going to hear often at this level, especially in Boston. It might be different for other franchises because the Celtics, as we know, at the NBA level, they've got championship aspirations. So what you do and how you fulfill your role and maximize your role in the G League is what's going to give you the best chance to move up, at least within this organization. And Nathan Knight fits that criteria. Also, he's a two-way guy. The other two-way that has been unbelievable is JD Davison. And it's been night and day what we've seen from JD last year as a rookie, first year out of Alabama, one and done at Bama, and turnovers are down just over 3.5 a game. Now, I would also add, you can almost live with a little more turnovers or about the same last year because he's got the ball in his hands a lot more, averaging 25.5 a game, leading the league in assists, 9.2 assists per game, 5.7 rebounds. There's just, Chris, I think there's just a calm, cool, and collected demeanor where it's not as much of deer in the headlights like we saw last year.
This year, you can see him. He's just relaxed. It doesn't seem like, he's got that two-way, but he understands the two-way now, the travel and everything going back and forth in between. But he's got that calmness to him, and you can tell. I mean, he's knocking down shots. That was the big thing last year was, he was more that dribble drive guy, and teams played for that. It was easier to guard the pick and roll because of that. Now he's knocking down outside shots pretty consistently. Now you can't let him, drop back, pick and roll, and then the pick and roll becomes that much harder to guard for other teams because they have to worry about his shot. They can't play off him and then help side on the off the pick and roll. So it's just been fun to watch him and watch his growth. And a lot of people say, pro players, how do they get any better? They're pros. Well, you could go and watch clips from JD last year and JD this year, and you can see that the guy put in some serious effort on his game. He worked out more. He put on 15 pounds of muscle to take, the beating he's going to take, bumping off, going up in the air, bumping off people. But it's just that demeanor. He just looks so much more relaxed. Like the game's not coming at him. He's going after the game, and he's able to see things, and everything's slowed down for him. And it's those are some crazy numbers he's putting up right now.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. He's commanding tempo, and he's not letting the game. He's dictating the game, and the numbers reflect that. The Celtics per synergy. This is shout out to our guy Chase Whitney, who works in the PR stats department. Celtics players score 1.15 points per possession as the pick and roll man. So that's a lot of. We'll get to DJ Steward momentarily. He is our guest this week on the Maine Celtics podcast. We'll get to DJ in a second. But JD's a big part of that for finding rollers to the basket. And then their other efficient play is the isolation. And a play that remains very much in my mind is what the pull-up two he made. And Blaine Miller shouted this out. He made a pull-up two in crunch time against Long Island in that opening home series where that's a shot he's only taking it if they need baskets and there's a minute and a half left and you just need to come up with something. He took that with confidence. But the command is there without question. JD Davison, number one in the G League in assist percentage, 41.4. That is an astronomical number. DJ Stewart is next, 40.4. So the numbers are the numbers are telling us JD's taking the next step. Fans get excited because I think they're trying to find their next Marcus Smart at the Boston level. Because when the Celtics traded Marcus Smart, a lot of fans, it kind of went both ways. Fans are bummed out because of what Smart brought, longest tenured Celtic. Okay, what's Brad Stevens got up his sleeve? JD is not just putting up offensive numbers that are blowing your mind, but it feels like he's more of a complete player too.
I mean, you're 100% correct. And again, it goes to the whole thing where he got into the gym, and it wasn't just the gym to put up shots. He got into the gym to work on his body, but he knew the game he was getting into now. When you come out of college, you go right to the G League, you get a summer season with the Celtics in the summer league, which is really a different pace. It's a different kind of, you get more of the isolation stuff. You get that. It's that. Then you come to the G League, and we watched it last year where they were just flying up and down the floor. And if you're not in sync and you're in that game can get out of the way. And, last year's coach Barlow, he came around and said, he expects there's going to be turnovers. The turnover number is going to be high. And then they had to make up for it in other ways. They did it with the rebounding stuff, but JD's been able to slow that down. So he's still playing at the same pace, but mentally it's slowed down for him. Defensively, he's getting after guys. He can take the hits a little bit more, but I think the roster build around him is a little better this year. And, it's no disrespect to Celtics past, Maine Celtics past, but it's just, they flow better. I mean, you could, if you watched if you made a little flow chart of this team, you can see, you have JD, but you reverse it and you got DJ. And he's just a little bit, frailer JD. Same thing. He's getting up, he's getting down the floor, but now you have your shooters on the wing. You have some solidified big guys. Not that you didn't have that before, but I think the balance of the roster is really helping JD because it can space the floor a little bit better. And like you said, that little pull up too, last year he wasn't going to take that. He was going to drive and he was going to float the thing out, kick it across the baseline to someone else or an open corner three. This year, he's going to pull up and he's going to put that in your face and he's going to tell you all about it. So it's, he's almost got it to where his lifestyle is 2K basketball now. He can play on the court as well as he is the video game.
Yeah. We'll get into that with DJ Stewart in just a moment. And even then too, like you said this, the 3-point percentage, it's 33%. It's not like it's not a great number, but it's better than what it was last year. It was sub 30% from three. And he was better from two. He was around 48%, but now he's not taking just alley-oop dunks and lay-ins and drives to the basket. There's a little bit of everything.
He didn't have that mid-range, and that's the thing. He had to get into the gym in the offseason to work on. It was either a three ball, an open three, and it wasn't anything forced, or he was going to the rim hard and it was going to be a lob or him, a layup or a dunk that way, or even a kick out. Now he's got it from 3-point line to that rim. He can hurt you in any aspect from any distance at that point in time.
Okay, I'd be remiss to not mention your guy. You've been high on this player since we saw him at Media Day, and really since the Celtics picked him up. The Maine Celtics picked up former Capital City guard Jordan Schakel, who he had a game winner in Greensboro. He's averaging 15 a game, 48% from three to lead the Celtics through 6 games, 4 rebounds. You love this guy, and it's all playing out for you, Chris.
Last time we talked about Nate Knight, and I said, hey, look out for him. There's a big game coming. After that game, we were texting, kind of laughing about it. We called it, and my text back for you is Schakel tomorrow. And sure enough, game winner the next night, but he's just so smooth. It's nothing. It doesn't look like he's ever playing out of position. He doesn't look like he's playing at a pace too quick. It just, everything looks real slow. He looks super comfortable. On the roster itself, I keep preaching on how just well it's built, but it's the personalities. This guy, he's kind of that quiet guy. He's going to be that guy that's going to knock down that open shot in the end. Nothing too flashy. You may not remember much of Jordan Schakel, but then you're going to look at the stats and be like, what did I miss? But he's going to knock down that open shot. He's going to work his tail off on D, but he just flows into that aspect of DJ's going down the lane. He's going to kick it out or he's going to lob it or whatever. And he's going to be that guy that's out left in the corner like he was for the open 3 against Greensboro and knocked it down without even hesitation.
Schakel now is a starter who he started most games last year for Capital City. Something we didn't mention with Davison too, but folks might not realize this. He was off the bench at Alabama. He was their 6th man on that really good Alabama team. So even for him to consider just 2 years ago, he's a 6th man on a really, really good SEC team. Hey, you're going to get thrown in the fire. You're going to start, and you might not have the ball in your hands all the time. Kamar Baldwin was running the point a lot last year too. And now to see the complete seismic change in the role and the demand and the workload, JD's adjusted well. And then, speaking of our guest, DJ Stewart was a starter his whole life. He was a starter at AAU. Most of these guys are. AAU, high school. He led all freshmen in scoring in the ACC at Duke. DJ Stewart came off the bench. His first year in the G League, he started for the Stockton Kings, the G League affiliate of Sacramento. And he came off the bench last year. He started the first 2 games this year. Blaine Miller went to him, and DJ Stewart made the adjustment. We talk about it all with DJ Stewart, guard of the Maine Celtics. He's got a fascinating story. He cracks us up, too. He's a joy to be around. We talk about 2K. We talk about his music. Here is DJ Stewart, Maine Celtics guard. Welcome back into episode 3 of the Maine Celtics podcast, our second player appearance of the season. We are joined by Maine guard DJ Stewart. He's in his 3rd G League season, his first with the Maine Celtics. DJ, how you doing? Thanks for making the time.
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Of course, DJ's off to a great start for the Celtics, coming off the bench the last 4 games for the season, averaging 19 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Let's try to help the people understand who you are and where you come from. You've been in the G League a couple of years now. You're a native of Chicago. You spent the last 2 years with the Sacramento Kings organization playing for their G League affiliate in Stockton. What have you learned, DJ, at this point now about the G League and how it's created opportunities for a young pro like yourself?
First, I would say it's very competitive, a very competitive league, a lot of great players. So night in and night out, you're gonna get your best challenge, and I feel like it's very fun as well, and you can develop your game. It's a great place for younger players to develop their game, like me. My biggest thing was trying to get better each and every year. Like every time that I play in front of play in front of different teams and anything. I want to be a better player than I was the last time that they saw me. So that's my focal point.
Yeah, I'm. So you've been coming off the bench now the last couple of games, and that's changed your role. You started the first two on the road, and Coach Miller decides, all right, DJ, we're gonna have you come off the bench. And you had a similar situation in Stockton when you were there too. You started your first year, majority of the games, then you came off the bench, and just based on those 2 years, forget what you've done so far this year, you've adjusted pretty well. I would imagine going back to your time playing AAU ball and high school and even at Duke, what was it like to kind of wrap your head around last year and even now these last couple of games? Okay, I'm going to have to make an adjustment to help the team win by being a reserve and giving energy right away off the bench.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, like in high school and college, I never came off the bench, like never. So it was an adjustment for me, just finding my rhythm and everything. But I feel like it's been a great thing for me and the team, whichever team I've been on, because like for myself, I'm able to see like what's going on in the game before I'm able to get out there, how the ref is calling the game, like where I can get to my spots, where I can get my teammates involved and everything. And I feel like that helps me a lot. And then when Coach Miller, he came up to me, he's like, he said, I'm going to just letting you know you're going to be coming off the bench now. I was like, all right, I'm with it, because I came off the bench before and I know that I can be a spark plug coming off the bench. I can score and I can create and pretty much be a backup behind JD and just keep the game out of control and just be that spark off the bench.
What's the hardest thing about coming off the bench that you've kind of figured out here the last couple of years? Something you didn't expect that you said, oh, that's what that's like.
I would say just like finding a rhythm, like sometimes it's tough to find a rhythm, like coming off the bench, if especially like I say like my last couple years, like when I first started coming off the bench, it was tough for me because I'm like, all right, like I just warmed up, I got to sit down and then I got to sub in at a certain time. So I feel like that's the toughest part, but it's more mental than anything. You got to keep yourself warm up on the side, just stay locked into the game, and it's up from there.
Celtics fans, and we'll talk about the Celtics and your experience in training camp, but just speaking to this year's Maine Celtics team, fans got their first look at Neemias Queta in a Maine uniform. He played some really nice minutes for the Boston Celtics on Sunday night when they played the Atlanta Hawks. But seeing Nemi in the lineup, what was it like as far as playing out there with him and what he brought to the table down in Greensboro?
I've been with Nemi all my entire pro career, so it's been amazing playing with Nemi and everything. And, he just brings a different type of energy to the team. He's a great defender. He's a great rim protector. He screens hard. He rolls hard, lob threat. So he just makes the game easy for everybody. So just having Nemi down was terrific.
Did it feel like for you specifically that it didn't take much time as far as being on the same page, whereas other guys haven't played with them? You've had the luxury of playing with them. So timing wise, did it feel like you were just picking up where you left off in Stockton?
Yeah, for sure. Like Nemi is an easy player to play with. So, it's an easy adjustment and everything for sure.
So when you were down in Greensboro, Maine Celtics are on the road. They're on the road for the next couple games before they return to the Expo the middle of next week. You had a chance to stop at Cameron Indoor, your old stomping grounds, where you played 1 year with the Duke Blue Devils. You had a chance to go check out a game. What'd you make of the squad there, the Blue Devils and Duke?
They look really good. It was actually my first time being in Cameron with fans, so it was a dope experience for me. Seeing Coach Shire, Coach K, just catching up with a few of the guys and everything, and yeah, they look very good. I'm excited to see what they do this year.
Did that make you feel old at all? Like, oh, look at me.
A
Now
little
I'm in
bit.
the stands. I'm talking with the coaches. I'm talking with the
For
legend
sure.
and Coach K. I'm not on the
For
court
sure.
warming up.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely did make me feel a little old, for sure.
Yeah. Did that take you a little bit to adjust to? I mean, I would imagine
Mhm.
if you didn't go pro as early as you did, you'd probably still have eligibility. You'd still be playing
Yeah,
right now.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would be a senior right now if I was still in college. So yeah, it was different going back. Like I saw Jeremy Roach, who I played with in my year at Duke. So it was good, really good seeing him and everything.
So for those who don't know, DJ played for the Philadelphia 76ers in summer league action this past summer, and then the Celtics signed him to a training camp contract. He worked out with the Celtics all of October, even much of September. A lot of the younger guys got in the gym and they were getting ready for the season. And you had a chance in that month of October during some really intense training sessions.
Hmm.
You had a chance to work out with fellow Duke player in Jason Tatum. And I know we talked about this. You and I talked about this way back when, at the end of October when the training camp wrapped up. But what was it like to have a chance to? I'm sure you've met Tatum before. I'm assuming you have. But what was it like,
That
kind
was
of
my
chopping
first
it up
time.
and learning from him some more?
That was my first time actually, and
Okay.
I talked to him a little bit about his Duke experience and everything, just seeing like our differences because I was there during COVID and he actually got like the actual kind of like college experience. So I just want to see like a little bit insight into how it was when he was there, and also I talked to Emil as well because he also went to Duke. So just hearing the experiences that they had, like Coach K moments and stuff like that, was pretty cool.
Yeah, Emil Jefferson, Celtics assistant coach. Is that brotherhood as strong as people say when you actually
Yeah.
experience it?
Yes, for sure, for sure.
What would you say makes Duke different than other teams in the country? Because at this point, I know you didn't go to another school, you didn't transfer, you
Mhm.
played 1 year at Duke, and that was it. You had a great freshman season, one of the top scorers in the ACC. But now, when you're a pro, and even when you were in the G League with Stockton, I'm sure you're meeting guys from other cultures and other experiences, whether it be overseas, other Power Five schools. How would you say? I'm sure you got the question a bunch about what was it like playing at Duke, but what would you say stands out about Duke compared to other schools?
Uh, what I would say, like, since I've turned like pro and everything, like seeing like different players who've been to Duke, it's just love. Like we show each other love. When we see each other, we play against each other in the G League. I just feel like it's a different connection that we have. And then as well, like I talked to Coach K a good amount. I talked to Coach Shire and other coaches as well. So just being able to talk to them and just have that relationship after college and everything is pretty dope. That's what I feel like stands out about Duke for sure.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at your bio from Duke, and I'm looking at you had a great year. You led all freshmen in scoring in the ACC, and I'm looking at your rebound logs. And even then, even in college, you were a pretty outstanding rebounder for a 6'2" guard. Now look, you had 9 boards against Coppin State. That wasn't a conference opponent, but not a lot
Yeah,
of 7s and 8s. I'm talking total
yeah,
rebounds here. And then all of a sudden, I mean, look at it, the last 8, 9 games of your college career, 1-0, 1-0. Now, I
mhm,
realize you played with other 5-star players, all America talents. Okay. So
yeah,
maybe you weren't asked to do that. But
mhm,
man, you have separated yourself from other guards, and JD Davison has exemplified this too when he's stuffing the
mhm.
stat sheet, being asked to rebound at the guard position. Where does that tenacity come from to be such a jitterbug, to be all over the floor? There was a win, one of the first wins of the season for Maine at home. You had like 5 or 6 offensive rebounds. Like, did you always know in you that you could be an impactful rebounder?
Uh, to be honest, yes. I just feel like I have a great feel for the game and just know like where the ball is gonna come off of the rim, so I can pretty much be in the right place at the right time. And it's just about doing more things in the game. I feel like even in high school and in college, it was more like, all right, I'm more in a scorer's mentality. It's like, all right, everybody can score at the professional and NBA level. Where can I stand out, especially as a smaller guard? I just feel like that can make me stand out. Just getting rebounds and getting in there and getting gritty. So and it definitely helps the team. Coach says we need our guards to come back in and rebound because there's going to be guys on the other team crashing and trying to get in there and be aggressive as well.
I would imagine too that's also a reflection of being able to adjust to the speed of the G League, right? Like the fact that the speed of the G League is a lot faster, I guess being more engaged on the glass would allow for you to be fully engulfed in the speed of the game. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yep, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Okay, again, we've got DJ Stewart joining us, Maine Celtics guard. He's had a great start to the season, one of the impactful players for Maine. They are 4-2. They're visiting Westchester, looking to win their 5th straight. They started 0-2, and they've found a way here to bounce back. Your rebounding has been phenomenal as far as what it's brought to the table, and I think that's made you stand out in a lot of these games. Off the court, you've got a fascinating background. You're from Chicago, like we mentioned. You went to Duke. This is your 3rd year as a pro out of Duke. So we'll get to the music in a minute, but I got to get more here because the last time we had a player on was Jordan Walsh, and Jordan mentioned there was a night off, or there was a night where you guys all got together and there was a lot of video games going on. There was a 2K tournament of some sort.
Yeah.
JD, I guess, was getting 20-pieced, I was surprised to hear that. Yeah, okay. I'm just going off what Jordan said here. So where do you fall in the 2K or video game hierarchy with the Maine Celtics?
I was the one that was 20-piecing JD.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
Yeah, that was me. We got together one night here and we were like, all right, we're gonna have a game night. So we had like Fortnite, Mario Kart, Smash Bros, and then 2K on the other side. And then me and JD, we ended up playing 2K, and I was destroying him.
What team are you using, or did you not reveal those secrets?
What team was I?
You probably play it so much that you don't remember. It's just
exactly. Yeah, I can't remember.
You know, is he talking a lot of smack leading into that?
Not really. You know, JD is quiet. JD is pretty quiet.
Yeah, he's opened up more. You'd be surprised.
Yeah,
he's a lot more open this year than he was last year.
Yeah, but no trash talking. He didn't know what he was getting himself into.
I guess it's hard to talk trash when you go down as quickly as he did, because Jordan, when I brought this up to Jordan Walsh, he was like, "Oh, well, JD had been telling everybody how good he was, best 2K player, not just on the Maine Celtics, but in the world."
Jordan doesn't really play other teammates. He plays like his friends. Jordan talks the most smack, but he does not play against us for some reason. Interesting. I gotta play Jordan. Yeah, you gotta follow up on that. Yeah. I gotta play Jordan.
Okay, maybe we'll make that happen. I mean, I can't wait to talk to JD Davison on the podcast, because now we've got these are just all piling up now. When we get all you come up, maybe we should interview more guys before we get to JD, and then we'll just keep a track record of what everyone says about him, and then maybe he uses that as motivation. How about, who are some guys? So Nimi's a guy you've had a chance to play with. It sounds like you've got a great bond so far with Jordan Walsh, with JD Davison. Mm-hmm. Who are some other guys that you've kind of gravitated towards on the team that you've built a pretty good relationship with?
I would say Brandon Slater for sure. He's hilarious. He's definitely probably the funniest guy on the team for sure. He's a character. Jordan Shackle, Taylor Funk. I'm not gonna lie, the whole entire team, we do a lot together. We spend a lot of time together off the court. We're just a really tightly bonded team. I feel like I forgot who I told, but I was like, this is probably the most fun team I've been on, because we really enjoy being around each other, and we're just super selfless.
Why do you think it's been so easy to mesh?
I would say we're very young, and we're hungry. We have a team full of hungry players, and then we have a vet, and a great vet in Tony Snell, who just wants to see us do better, get better, and succeed. So just having that type of vet, it makes things a lot easier for sure.
Now, is Snell the one adjusting, acting like a younger guy, or are you all acting older around Snell? What's that dynamic like?
Snell.
For example, go ahead.
I'm not. Yeah, he's young compared. Like I say that he adjusts to us for sure, for sure.
Yeah. Now, so he like lets you guys pick the music and those kinds of things.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. He's always
Now,
vibing.
is the team listening to your music ever, or is that kept private?
Every
Like
now
when
and then.
when DJ drops a bar, do you run this by everybody?
Yeah, everyone. They listen to some of my music every now and then. Every now and then.
Do you remember I asked you on Media Day, like, who inspires you from a musical sense? And you said yourself. You didn't even name somebody else.
Yeah, I
You can say that
because
again. I'm
yeah.
fascinated by what and we the other question I wanted to follow up on with you from our last chat was, did you end up have you found a way to comfortably, when you're done with practice or it's a game night, when you have your time to compose and put together music, did you find a studio, or how have you
Uh,
found peace as far as, okay, here's my time? Have you
mhm.
found a routine yet to be creative?
Most definitely. I would say it's usually like at night, like after I get done eating and everything. That's pretty much when I'm able to lock in. You know, it's dark outside. That's like, all right, it's time to lock in on some music. And uh, yeah, that's pretty much my routine. I like kind of like uh, making music more at night, like not during the day. You know, and like when everything is pretty much over, I'm able to lock in.
Mm-hmm. So if it's not another artist that inspires you, what motivate when did you first know that making music was what you wanted to do, or something you like to do as a hobby?
I would say like me and my friends, like even in middle school and high school, you know, we just always like joke around, just freestyling and stuff. And then I do actually have one friend named Emmanuel. Like he's a really good artist. He doesn't really drop his music like that, but we like send our music back and forth to each other. And like he pretty much inspired me to get on this app. It's called BandLab. That's where I make my music still. Like just Apple headphones and my iPhone. And once he started like doing that, I'm like, how'd you do it? And he told me how. And we made our first song, and it was actually pretty good. And we were like, all right, we could actually do something with this. Like, we could just make a lot of music. Like, I have a lot of music that I just have not released or anything. It's just like, I listen to it, like, just because, I mean, I like that it's good to me, you know?
Music and video games, I find, are two things that always come up with players that are pros, and
Hmm.
it's their way. I get it's a mechanism for you to get away from the game too. Is that part of it too? It's almost like a calming
Yes,
way to separate.
for sure. I would say it's an escape for sure, you know? Especially with music, I feel like you can pretty much get your thoughts out there and just talk freely about what's been on your mind and stuff like that.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
get you out on this. How have you settled into Portland? And I know it's been tough these last, hard to say because you guys have played so many road games early in the year.
Yeah.
And you're home right now before you go to Westchester. But what have you made of the area? How have you settled in? Have you found a spot you
Mhm.
like to eat? What are some things you're doing in Portland, if you have anything to share?
Uh, to be honest, I think Portland is great. You know, I really enjoy like being here. I feel like it's calm, it's peaceful, and I'm able to lock in here. That's pretty much, uh, like I think that's a really good thing about being here. You're able to lock into your craft, and you're able to build the relationships and friendships with your teammates and stuff like that because you're together so much. And I'm trying to see. Like yesterday, we went to go get hibachi, and that's my favorite. We got hibachi at this place called Kobe, which was pretty good. So we do a lot of different things together, going out to eat, going bowling. So I feel like Portland's a great city for sure. Great town. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about you, by the way, with the winter. I mean, you're from Chicago. I I,
Oh
I,
yeah.
I did have concerns. Stockton,
Hmm.
Duke. I'm like, oh, is this young
Yeah.
man ready to go for the winters? That's coming soon. You know that
Yeah.
it's
I'm
gonna get
ready.
cold.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm not ready. I don't even have a coat yet, so I got to make sure I get a coat very soon. Very soon.
Plenty of good like outlets. Like Kennebunkport has got
Mhm.
great like outlets. Um, you'll be okay. I'm sure someone will,
Okay.
will help you along the way.
For
DJ
sure.
Steward, guard of the Maine Celtics. You can catch him at the Expo next on December 6th when the Celtics take on the Delaware Bluecoats. December 6th, December 7th, back-to-back games on Wednesday and Thursday night. DJ, thanks for the time. Enjoy. Continue to do your thing coming off the bench, hooping. And also look forward to maybe one of these days we need some follow-ups on you playing Jordan Walsh in 2K. And maybe one of these days you can come on here and you can freestyle for us or something.
Most definitely, for sure.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks to DJ Steward. Good time chatting with him. A lot of personality there, and he has been on a tear. Chris, you want to just share your thoughts quickly on what DJ has meant for the Celtics and really the sacrifice he's made, but it's turned out to really benefit him because from what we've gathered, DJ Stewart is now averaging career bests in scoring. He's averaging career bests in three-pointers made per game, field goal percentage, rebounds, and assists.
He is, and we touched on it, he's a guy that started his entire life at every level he's been at. Comes now, all of a sudden, he's coming off the bench after that 0-2 stretch. They rip off 4 straight, but he's averaging 18.5 points a game, 5 rebounds, and he's not upset about it whatsoever. He's taken on the coming off the bench role just with a grain of salt. It's just another thing, and he's touched on it too. That 4-0 stretch has happened after a little team bonding. The guys are getting together more, and that's I think the big thing at the G League is the teams that can get together the quickest and build that cohesion the quickest are going to be the ones that get off to the success and, have each other's backs, so to speak. And I think that's what this Maine Celtics team is right now. Everybody's happy for everybody. In the G League, everybody's trying to get that call to the NBA. But I think with the Maine Celtics right now, they've had that time together. Jordan Walsh seems to be a name that comes up a lot of it that may have been the ringleader for the whole deal and part of it. And you can see the guys having a lot of fun together off the court. There's not a lot of people hanging out by themselves. They're together, doing everything together, and you can see it on the court. It's been nothing but wins since. And DJ seems to be one of those guys that you want to hang around with. And, and he's smiling, laughing, wants to get into a little bit of everything, but just he's taken on that role of coming off the bench and just run away with it. And it's been awesome to see. And it's one of these things I think people in Maine can like and can gather with it. It's a team full of grinders that appreciate everyone and everyone around them and work really hard together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think something that fans of the organization entirely, including Boston, if you go back and look at some of the talking points of Boston's training camp was about who would start, who would be the odd man out as it pertains to starters. And Jason Tatum, another Duke Blue Devil, we spoke about Tatum to DJ Stewart. Tatum pulled all those guys in. Horford, Drew Holiday, Porzingis, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, got them in a room, and they hashed it out and said, we don't care. We don't care as long as it impacts winning. Even Tatum joked, I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I think he was like, hey, I'll come off the bench for a game. I'll do what's necessary to sort of not just keep the peace, but just play the best. And as we found out, really, for any NBA organization, any NBA team, when the game's tight or it's crunch time, it's about who's finishing the game. And I think DJ Stewart has made it pretty clear that he needs to be on the floor to finish games. But there's just a way it helps Blaine and the staff for establishing rotations, substituting, matching up personnel-wise. And when you're hustling from the wing, grabbing rebounds the way he's been doing it. Because I was giving him a hard time. I meant this all in good fun. You look at his rebounding logs at Duke, and it's like you weren't even close to putting up 7, 8, 9 rebounds a game. So I think the pace of the league has also really fit his game. Chris, we've got a couple minutes here before we wrap it up. So as we know, the Celtics remain on the road. They are on the road in Westchester. You're listening to this and watching this now. They're at Westchester, and then they head to Toronto. They play the Raptors 905, the Raptors affiliate. And then that's it for road games. We finally get to see this team back at the Expo starting Wednesday, December 6th. We have a couple of Wednesday home games this year. That's new. Celtics are home for 5 straight through December 16th. So you get 5 dates in 10 days to come see this team play. The Delaware Bluecoats, the reigning champions. They are the Sixers affiliate. Then we see 905 on Sunday the 10th. And then the Hawks affiliate, the College Park Skyhawks, they come in on the 15th and the 16th. 5 games at home, 3 more on the road, the ones that we're talking about that are today and the weekend. So that brings us through the rest of the showcase season. you've been harping on this, and we'll get into the breakdown of the schedule of the Showcase Cup and how the standings work for those that aren't familiar. But the Celtics, the way they've played to get themselves back in this, they're beyond back in it. They are in it. They control their own destiny with these teams ahead of them here on the schedule.
This is 7 games in, and here we go. Maine controls their own destiny, and we'll call it tonight against Westchester. They get a win tonight, and they put themselves right up at the top of the category of even coming out and winning the pod with the matchups they have coming in down below, and having College Park still, and having the Raptors 905 too, which comes in, which is key. They're struggling a little bit, and so it's one of those things. They get that. Are they getting them at the right time at the start of the year? They don't have any wins yet, but to be able to finish the Showcase Cup at home, like you said, the 5 games in 10 days, that's Maine's not the easiest place to travel for some of these teams coming in the pod wise, getting into Portland, getting out. So take advantage of that. And they control their own destiny after 6 games of the season.
There are 31 G League teams this year. We know the Portland Trailblazers out of the team, the Rip City Remix. So all 31 got divided up into 4 pods. The G League's been doing this now the last couple of years. The Showcase, the Winter Showcase. So here's how it goes. The Maine Celtics, just for our purposes, we'll keep it Maine-centric. We'll keep it Maine-focused. The Celtics are in the East pod. They are in there with Westchester, Capital City, College Park, Long Island, Delaware, Greensboro, Raptors 905. These are all teams they are playing in this 16-game mini season. So you play all these teams head-to-head. You don't play them all equally. They change it up every year. But the way it works is there are 4 pods. The goal is to win your pod. You win your pod, you're in the tournament. You're in the Winter Showcase, which is this year down in Orlando, Florida. It starts the week leading into Christmas. So that's when that is. It's in Orlando. So the top 4, each pod winner gets in. That's the simple way to get in. Win your pod, you're in. Right now, Maine's right in the middle of the pack of the East pod, and they've got to beat Westchester. They've got to beat Capital City. Or they lost to Capital City. They don't play them again. But they've got to beat teams. This Westchester game's huge because they need to at least split with them. The way it works, if you don't win the pod, the next 4 best records of any pod, doesn't matter what pod you're in, you get in. Next best record, next best win percentage. As you would probably think, well, there's probably going to be some ties or some equal records. The next best would be, and this is what we saw last year, would be point differential. So in the Celtics, there was a game last year. They played Capital City, middle of December. The Celtics got in last year to the Winter Showcase as the 8th place team, the 8th seed, and it required them beating Capital City by like 50 points to cement their Winter Showcase spot. And the whole goal of the Showcase, folks, is you get in, there's scouts from NBA teams there. You get a real opportunity, and there's a prize pool too. So there's an incentive for that too. You want to get some extra cash. These guys are not making NBA money. Some of them are on NBA contracts, but the idea, Chris, is to then put yourself as the 12, 13 guys on the roster to take yourself to another step where you're going to be in front of NBA folks that are going to get another look at you in a high volume, single elim, high pressure tournament. That's where we're at right now with the Showcase standings.
It is, and people got to realize that the G League is used as a experiment for things that happen and go up through the NBA. So this year you have the in-season tournament that, hey, it's 50-50 out there on whether we like it or not. What they got to realize is how the NBA's built it is they take the team's regular season schedules, and that's their Showcase Cup and how they do it. It's not separated. Maine last year gets in by the skin of their teeth by an absolute just like out of the blue blowout. Like it had to have been 50 points. There weren't many shots missed, to put it that way, in that game. They get in as the 8th seed, but then they actually go in and beat the 1 seed. So it's not in. I don't want to get it out to where it's like, hey, this is an actual 1-8 that, I mean, you're taking the entire G League at that point in time and putting the 8 best teams out of the Showcase Cup in there, but you're in an intimate setting where there's not a giant crowd. You're not in this giant arena. It's almost like a old school nightclub, so to speak, where there's a court down and there's tables set up and the GMs and, the front offices from all the NBA teams are there to see these guys, and that's where the guys want to show out. And I still think that's where a team like Maine's going to stick out, because you can put up 25, 30 points a game in the G League. There's no one in the G League that's coming out in next week that's going to be picked up. That's some teams looking to start and take over up in the NBA. They're looking for those role players that can come off the bench and fill those spots and buy that time, whether it's an injury or, hey, there's an open spot on the roster. And these main guys are showing that kind of personality that they could go up and accept that. You know, there's a guy that JD averaging 20 points, you know, putting up 27 a game. Yeah. Boston's not looking for JD Davison to come up and score 27 points a game and play all these minutes. They're looking for JD to come in and spell guys and just be someone that can come in, manage the game, and, you know, not lose the game by any means. But this is a time where those kind of things, the scouts can see that kind of stuff, you know, because they're around the teams. The teams are in one place. You know, they see them off the court, they see them on the court, they see everything there. So it's a whole different kind of setup than what the NBA has, but it's still a big deal. These guys, like you touched on, there's a money aspect that's a little different in the NBA compared to the G League. So that when they get down to Orlando, there's a want to win that Showcase Cup because there is a check that comes into your pocket from that. So it's a little different that way, but it's going to be an adventure these next 15 days, call it, to see what teams even go there. I mean, you have 3-4 teams just in Maine's pod that could end up winning the pod by the time it's all said and done in the next 2.5 weeks.
It's kind of like I'm trying to think of a good comp. It's almost like it's like when you're taking like the SAT or the ACT, like, you know, like you're in high school, you're trying to set yourself up for the next step in your career or your academic career or your pro playing career. Well, if you don't make it and don't make it in, I mean, it's not going to necessarily be held against you, but it can't hurt you to get into this tournament and further showcase yourself. It's almost like a bar exam for NBA G League guys. Like, oh, look, you have an opportunity to bolster your resume or bolster your individual value. So by getting in, there's a lot of value. And I think for the most part, as you just hit on, it's going to be highly competitive. So I'm happy Maine's back in it, because when we last talked, I was like, oh, no, 0-2, it doesn't feel promising. But now that they've won 4 in a row, they are very much in the thick of it. So we will keep you posted on that. The next time we talk to everybody will probably be a showcase. I mean, we hope it's a winter showcase preview with the Maine Celtics involved. If not, we'll be sure to keep you up on how the team is doing. And we will also look forward to our next guest. We've had a couple already, players, head coach Blaine Miller. But in the meantime, we look forward to seeing you, hopefully, at the Expo. If not, you can watch us. We're live on most games on NBAGleague.com or on the radio side, 96.3, The Big Jab. Also, our TV partner, the home of the Boston Celtics, NBC Sports Boston, when there is not a conflict. But also, you can get your tickets at MaineCeltics.com. 5 games in 10 days between December 6th and December 16th. Maine plays Delaware. They play 905 College Park. So get out to the Expo. Check this team out. They're playing really well. For Chris Whitney, our guest today, DJ Steward, guard of the Maine Celtics. My name is Brendan Glasheen. Thanks for listening and watching the Maine Celtics podcast. We'll talk to you again next time.